Today I'm going to be talking to one of my phenomenal clients, Kandice Kennedy, and we're going to be talking today. Let me set this camera angle. We're going to be talking today about alignment and grief. Candy, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, there she is. Awesome. Well, before I introduce Candice, fix the angle so we can see your face.
I know.
I just had to fix mine. Before I introduce Candice, I want to introduce myself. So I am Danica Carruthers. I am the CEO and founder of Live with Purpose Coaching. Candice, turn your camera around, babe. I am the CEO and founder of Live with Purpose Coaching, and I am your alignment coach. More specifically, I help you to align in the place of your soul, okay? Because the soul is the essence of who we are. And today, I'm so excited for this conversation. But Candy, I got to be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous because a whole lot of things have happened.
I'm nervous. Why is where's my camera thing at?
Okay, well, I can see you now. Just angle it. There you are. Because I was seeing your foot and all kind of things. There you are.
Can you see you? Can you see yourself?
I can see myself. You can't see me?
Why I can't see myself? I can see you, but why I can't see me?
I don't know, but I can see you. We have a split screen. I don't know why.
But I didn't know what I look like.
I know.
Sweet baby Jesus, and I mean sweet baby Jesus.
Hi, Mikhail. Well, I'm so grateful that this conversation is starting off with laughter. I don't know. Now I see black checkerboards.
Okay, wait. Hold on. Black? Okay, wait.
Black and white. Black and white.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm like potty mouth. Like, okay, wait. What is going on?
I have no idea. So, well, turn your camera around. Okay, now I can see you. Can you see me?
I can see you, but I can't see myself.
Oh, that's what I meant. If you can see yourself now.
No. Why?
Now, see, I don't know, because nobody has ever said that before, so I don't know what's going on.
What did I do?
Nothing. I can still see you. We trying to get it together, y'all, so that we can give y'all the highest level of conversation today. I don't know, girl. Them spirit folk must be,
Hold on,
must be in the building. Don't let me start talking to Z. Z, behave yourself. You don't need to be clowning your mama today.
She's doing something, got me feeling like I'm real old, and I cannot see myself.
Z, don't be clowning your mama today. Can you see yourself yet?
No.
Well, I don't know what's happening, but just angle down a little bit more because I can see more of the. Okay, now I can see you. So are you holding your phone this whole time?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Okay. Okay. Well, if you keep it there, you're good. So
how's
we want to say,
wait,
your angle is good.
Okay.
Your angle
good lighting.
Good.
Okay.
Good lighting. I'll let you know if you need to fix yourself, girl. I got you.
Okay.
Hi, Coach by John. Hi, Mikhail.
Hi, Mikhail.
Hi, Jay Gore. Girl, look here. Hi, Trina Deb. These names sometimes on Instagram. But hello, everybody, and welcome to Chit Chat with Danica Carruthers, the Soul Alignment Coach. We just had to get some things fixed for those of you who all catch us on the replay. But I'm so grateful that this conversation is starting off with laughter because I was feeling a little heavy before we got on. But before we get into our conversation, Miss Beautiful Candice, my beautiful client, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do. Just tell them whatever you want them to know before we get started.
Okay. As she read earlier, my name is Kandice Kennedy. I have a nonprofit foundation called Zaria's Footsteps. And it's in honor of my daughter, Zaria Kennedy, who I lost to suicide on Valentine's Day in 2018. She was my world, so it rocked me. But I wanted to honor her, and so I started the foundation for that. And with the foundation, provide therapy. We provide therapy. We are for the unseen, the unheard. We deal with the elderly. Anyone that's in need. But we also within the community, and it's not just where I'm based at. She's taken off, and I'm like, and that just gives me the biggest joy ever. And but this month is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. On September the 12th, you will light a candle for someone. And if you go to Zaria's Footsteps on Instagram or Facebook or footsteps.org, you will see the directions of it. And so we also going to do a virtual walk because we all been cooped up in the house, right? So we're doing a virtual walk, and the proceeds will go to her foundation where we can continue to help. And we give out the Zaria bags. We do all of that, and that's me. And I own another business, but we're not gonna talk about that business today. We're just gonna talk about this one right now.
Yes, we'll talk about this one. But Kandice and I have been working together for, I think it's about a year now. The time is going so fast. Yes, we were working together before 2020, before 2020
Yes.
came in. We've been working together for a little over a year now. So Kandice, what led you to me? What made you want to work with me? And what have you received in working with me that has helped you in your journey so far?
Okay. Once Zaria died, the night that it happened, I instantly knew that the only way I was gonna get through this was with therapy and a spiritual journey. That was the only way. I knew that off bat. So I do have two therapists that I see on a different level, but and I kept seeing this retreat in Hawaii, oddly, and it was a spiritual retreat. And this is before I even met you. And so I was like, okay, I love my therapist, but I need someone else to come in that's not a cookie cutter. I need someone to call me on my ish and meet me where I'm at, you know?
You could say you could say shit on my lives. I say shit
Okay,
often.
okay, good.
You have permission to say
Yeah,
shit.
so I need somebody to call me on my shit because
Yeah.
I didn't need someone to cross their legs and say, mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. How does that make you feel? Like, how the hell you think it made me feel? Like, you know what I mean? Like, challenge me because and it's still an ongoing process. That's the thing. It doesn't happen overnight, you know, and it's okay to have a mixture of certain things because that's what you need. And so I looked, I went through social media and I looked, and then I went to Google and Yelp and different things. And it was important for me to be able to look at someone that reflects me, for me. And so I remember I reached out to you, you instantly reached back, and we did a consultation. And I was actually at my mother's house, but I was in the cave, which belonged to my daughter. And I sat and we talked and we talked. And at that moment, I knew that you were my person. And so you have broken some things, broken down some barriers that I needed to get through. And so by working with you, I've made major steps as far as in my own life, you know, framing the way I word things. And see, I could do that to other people. I do that all day when I'm pouring into them, you know. But when you're doing it's your own story, you think like, okay, I'm exempt, and you know, you find yourself in that. And so I have shifted in the way I speak about certain things.
Yeah.
You know. And the connection is just so like unbearable. Like I can't even explain it. Like and like we've been talking, and we talk, and it's like we cut off each other's sentences, and like we have these ideas, and it just come, you know. And if, without me being too presumptuous, I think that you were able to get something from me as just well as I was able to get something from you.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, I talk about divine connections all the time, and that's what I mean. A relationship that is divinely connected. There is supposed to be a giving and a receiving. And, you know, that's one of the things that I really respect and appreciate about what I do. I get as much from my clients as I know that they get from me. You know, if it's not going to be that kind of connection, I don't want to work with you. You know, It has to be joyful first and foremost. It has to be joyful. So y'all replay if you came on late. We just killed ourselves laughing when we got on here. It has to be joyful. It has to be safe, and it has to be sacred.
Yeah.
That's the energy, that's the space that I operate in. But and this is divine today because I've been trying to have this conversation with you for a couple of weeks now. And
Yes.
this morning I reached out to Candy and I was like, when are we gonna have our chit chat? And she said, well, let's do it today. Are you available today? And I said, yeah, I'm available at 5 today. So we said that we would do it today. Well, girl, about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, I'm sitting down and I was like, oh my God, today is the 9th anniversary of my mother's passing today. I am on a consultation call about an hour ago with a potential new client who was telling me that her sister is in the hospital and, they don't know if she's going to make it. I heard right away she's not, that her sister is ready to go. I started getting downloads right away. While we're on the call talking to each other, she gets a call she says, this is the hospital calling me. I have to call you back. And when she hung up, I heard her sister speaking. And I knew her sister had left, and she called me back and said, we have to talk later because her sister passed. So all of this today, pre our alignment and grief conversation. And so this is one of the examples of what alignment looks like. When you are walking the path that you are called to walk, that your soul is calling you to walk. They say the stars align. It's like everything comes into alignment. When you are not in alignment, when you feel like everything is discombobulated, things are all in disarray, you don't have any peace within, and even with grief, grief is a hard thing, but grief is the word that we use to describe the emotions we feel when we lose something or someone who is important to us, right? So it's a general term, but grief is so individual. And grief is so personal. And you can grieve for many different reasons. You can grieve through the death of a loved one. You can grieve if a relationship ends in divorce or separation. You can grieve the death of a pet. A lot of people hold their pet like their children. You can grieve if you have changes in your health, or if a loved one's health changes. You can grieve the loss of a job. You can grieve the loss in the way you live your life, which a lot of people have experienced in 2020. There's so many reasons why you can grieve, and grief is so personal. And Candy, I remember when you first, came to start working with me, there was a lot of anger that you were dealing with. And, what was so important for me was to let you be in that space of where you were. Those were your feelings. And the beautiful thing is grief is such a big part of my story. I understand the feelings, so Candy was expressing her anger in ways that I completely understood because I expressed my anger in those ways, when my sister died, but I want you to talk a little bit about that, because that was one of the things that was really key for you in beginning our work together, was working with someone who understood that you had to be allowed to feel the way that you felt. Talk about that.
Yes. And when you're right, to just piggyback off what you were saying about the day is kind of crazy because I got a phone call that the young man that I was telling you about was trying to find that is suicidal, right? And so his family members don't want to believe that he would be suicidal because a man can't be suicidal, but we'll get that into a second. And then so I was working on the things 19 reasons to be alive, and then 19 reasons to be great, to also the deeds to stay here. 19 reasons to stay. That's something I do every year. Then I looked, like today is the quote unquote national day for suicide loss. It's the 10th. I put it for the 12th, but that's fine. There's no here, no there. I was like, what? Okay, yeah. And so then my mother just came in just a minute ago, and it's just like, what you doing? So I looked at her, I was like, what's wrong? Mommy fell at work and messed up her shoulder and stuff. So, but to piggyback off of what you were saying, grief is not just when I talk to people, grief is not just the loss of a person, like a death. Grief is loss. Loss is death. Like, and where we at with 2020 is supposed to be clarity. It's supposed to be perfect vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's either going to show you the good and it's going to show you the bad, but it was important for me because everyone has this expectation of you, what grief is supposed to look like, right?
Come on.
They're supposed to, like, okay, you like, when the hurricane hit, right? My phone's going off and I'm like, I'm panicking because I haven't went through any of my daughter's things. That's her room. That's my choice. Nobody's here. Like, like, why should this matter to you what I do with it? So it's like,
Right.
and it was the tone. It was like, so you haven't done that yet? You haven't packed up anything? And I'm like, so you tell me how I'm supposed to go through 16 years and pack up and pick up this one thing. Pick up this one thing. Tell me, and so with that, and so everyone had this expectation, and then some people want to be there just for, and when I did tell you that grief is deep, demanding, and debilitating.
Yep.
That's just facts, and one way doesn't look like the other way. And then also, no disrespect to anyone, right? But when they haven't lost a child, that kind of puts you on a whole nother island by themselves to suicide, right? Because you have an answer, you have things. And that was, when I came to you, because I was so analytical, and that's a blessing and a curse for me, right? So when I came to you, yes, I was angry, because I had so many questions, and I was angry because how can you tell me how to grieve my child?
Right.
Right. And I also understand that it makes people uncomfortable. Death and loss and those things that make you uncomfortable, just like they don't want those certain words, they don't want to talk about it. But until you hit your backyard, then you're like, oh, okay. So that's
one
what
of the
I was
things that's
seeking.
key too is it's so individual, and that's one of the issues that we face in society is everybody wants to try to control what everybody does. Everybody feel like they need to have an opinion or a suggestion for everybody. And sometimes you just need to shut up if you don't know what to say, because it is an uncomfortable conversation to have. And, you talk about, it's different when you lose a child. Well, you and I have had these conversations on, loss is individual, so one of the things that I don't believe in doing is comparing losses. Well, child feels different from sister, feels different from mother. Right. No, but I do remember when my sister was killed in a car accident. So that was a sudden death. She's 29 years old, Right. The car hardly had a dent. The tree that she hit, there wasn't no bark off the tree.
Alicia.
There wasn't a mark on her. Hey, Alicia. And I remember someone coming to me and saying, well, girl, I know how you feel, because my sister got killed. I said, I don't want to hear about your sister. No, she said, my sister died. I said, I don't want to hear about your sister. I don't want to hear about your sister. No, you don't know how I feel. And I think that's one of the things that we have to understand. People are not going to, and I was pissed, the whole thing with her death, I was just really angry. I went to a really, really dark place where my sister got killed because there was so much that I just didn't understand, But the thing is, grief and loss is something that we are all going to experience at some point in our life. We are all going to experience it. And, I would say, I feel very secure in saying most people are going to experience grief through the loss of someone because all of us are here to pass through and leave one day. None of us are staying. So death is something that's going to touch, pretty much everybody, right? But the individual process of it, it's important to honor that for yourself and to also honor that for other people as well,
Yes, because it's not one blanket, right? It's not a blanket treatment at all. Like it's not one blanket thing. And that's what you have to be able to meet people where they are, right? But at the same time, you also have the choice to say, no, I don't want to partake in this.
Come on.
You have that choice to like, I don't want to partake in this, Like, why I'm gonna keep pouring in your cup and it got this big ass hole at the bottom of it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to give you this info, but that hole, and then you have to be able to really take constructive criticism, and
Yeah.
you have to be, to move forward, because
Yes.
some things will come off and it will rub you the wrong way and you will react to it, right? But you just have to be, I feel like you just have to, some things are not a tiptoe thing, and some things are, you have to just be straight blunt, with them.
Yes.
You
And
have to
I
you
feel
have to
like
do that.
that's one of my strengths because I'm very intuitive. That's a gift that I have. It's a spiritual gift that I have. So I really meet you where you are. I rely on spirit, and I rely on your loved ones as well. Because yeah, I do have that gift, y'all. I don't get on and do a commercial about it. Because listen, when when I recognized that I had this gift, I remember watching the movie Ghost, and I said, okay, listen, spirit, look here. All right, I will be using this capacity, but what we ain't doing is an Oda Mae Brown where there's a whole line of people talking to me at the same time, and ain't nobody gonna be jumping in my body. I'm putting up boundaries, right? But I do
Right.
use my gift of intuition, when I am working with my clients, and I feel like that's what's so sacred and special about the
Mm-hmm.
work that I do, because I am very intentional about meeting you where you are. But when you talk about grief, there's so many feelings that are
Yes.
connected to it: anger, anxiety, blame. You can even blame people.
Yes.
You feel
And then
depressed, you feel
and
fear,
yeah, and then it's guilt,
guilt. Yep, I was going to
guilt.
get loneliness,
Yes, yes,
numbness, sadness, shock,
yes, yeah,
yearning. And in some cases, also, there's a relief. If you have a loved one who's been sick for a long time and they pass, you
yeah,
feel a sense of relief, and then you can feel guilty about feeling relieved
yeah.
that you don't have to take care of them anymore, or they're not here
Right.
anymore, they're not suffering, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. But again,
Mm-hmm.
those feelings are so personal and so individual. But there is a process. There's a necessary process of grief.
Yes. To get there, to get through there, because um like I felt like I've been existing
Mm-hmm.
since the day that I lost Zaria. Even though I was doing all these fantastic things,
Mm-hmm.
everything I've doing, and saving people and the scholarships, just everything that I was doing, because like I told you, I can blast off everything good about my child, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and she's living through me, and that's why it's called Zari's Footsteps, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, you have to like really work through this. Like, you have to
You do.
really go through it. And this is the tricky part about it. You can be at step 3 and then be right back at number 1 before you know it,
Something happens. Something
and
happens.
that's
Yep.
and that's natural, and it's a process,
It is.
and like the guilt, like you said, like guilt,
Mm-hmm.
because like, how did I not know, or why didn't I see this coming, or could I have done
Right.
more, and then people, like, when you, like you say, if it's a loved one that's been sick for a long time, you can say that you prepared. I promise you can. But when that day
Yeah.
comes, that is
It's
something
different.
totally different.
It
And what
is.
I've been telling people, see, because I thought the day that I found her and the day that I went through it, that was like the worst day of my life. Okay, planning
Mm-hmm.
a funeral. Oh my God, this has to be the worst thing I've ever done. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then watching
Mm-hmm.
her go down. This has to be the worst thing I. No, mm-mm. It was when I came home
And
and
face myself. Yeah.
everybody left.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and because you're on this merry-go-round and you just want to get off, right?
Yeah.
Because you're watching the world pass you by, and they don't have to stop for you. Now, see, this is somebody else's story. I could have told him, baby, it's not gonna work. But because it was
Yes.
me, I had the audacity to think that I was gonna be exempt because it was my
Mm.
story, you
Yes.
know. And so loss, like, is not just of a loved one. Like right now, so many people are going through things. And it's not just
Mm-hmm.
through a mental, right? Traumatic experiences can lead to
That's
mental and
right.
sadness and anxiety, right? So
That's
right
right.
now, we're in an uncertain world, right? Everything's uncertain. It's
Yeah.
shifting,
Yeah.
Um, like you
And
said, like people's
and a
lost
big
their homes.
right. Sorry, I don't mean to cut
Yeah,
you off and go in.
yeah,
The thing is a little,
yes,
but but one of the biggest struggles that people have in this type of situation, circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
experience is the thoughts, right?
Yes.
Because they stay with you constantly, and you have thoughts of confusion, you have thoughts that, make it difficult to concentrate, and you don't
Yep.
believe it. I remember one of the hardest things with me, especially with my sister, because that was the first traumatic sudden
Can you
loss.
still see me?
Um, I can still see you, baby, yeah,
Okay.
that I had
Okay.
had. And it was the disbelief. It was the waking
Yes.
up every morning and wishing that it was a bad dream, that it was the
Mm-hmm.
disbelief. It was, being preoccupied with what was lost. So that's a big struggle component. But you talked
Yeah.
about earlier when we first started talking about the framing. Well, what I say is I help you to reframe the story. And what I want you to do, Candy, is talk a little bit about existing, right? But you have had a
Mm-hmm.
shift recently. You've had a shift in
Yes.
that experience recently. So I really want you to talk about that, the
Okay.
shift
Yes.
from.
Yes. From the shift, I opened my daughter's door. I left it open, and it's been open.
And
I
prior to that, you kept it closed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for 2 years it's been closed. I would go in, close the door. I've slept in her room. I've done those things, and I've asked, it's like, and this is the thing because you want these messages, right? Like you get them,
Mm.
right? And then you've been getting them, but it's like, okay, I'm greedy. I just need more. You're like, she'll turn the light on. She'll turn the TV on the SpongeBob. You've experienced the SpongeBob thing.
Hmm.
Hi,
Let's talk about
Marcia.
that. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, okay, so Candace's daughter Z, we call her Z. She loves SpongeBob, and Candace never got it. And I personally don't get SpongeBob either. Like, I just really don't get the whole
I never
SpongeBob
could
thing.
get it. I tried it sober and not sober. I had a little Jesus juice, but cannot
I
get into
no,
SpongeBob at
and
all. Hate it.
I couldn't get into SpongeBob either. I don't get SpongeBob. My children were grown, right, when SpongeBob came along, but they love SpongeBob, and I don't get it. But Candy had come down to Houston, and we got together, and we were talking. We spent a couple of hours together, and then we were talking about Zaria, and talking about Zaria being around, and I leave from Candace and decide that I need to go into Ross because I'm on the other side of town. It's like, let me go check out the Ross on this side of town. I swear to you, I go looking at t-shirts. First of all, I don't wear t-shirts. So I don't even know why I was in the looking at t-shirts. And there is this, we were talking about the Krabby Cakes when we were together. And there is this t-shirt that I pick up that has the Krabby Cakes on it. I took a picture of it, sent it to Candace. I say, your Zaria is something else, honey. But, they are just so cute in the way they speak and communicate and let us know that they are around. So I just wanted to share that cute story because that was so cute how Zaria came into Ross with me with the SpongeBob
Right.
t-shirt.
Yes, so I left it open, and then I remember you told me I left it open, and then I signed up to go back to school to get my master's. Um, I've just I've been getting out more and pushing myself more,
Mm-hmm.
because even with taking chemo and different things, I hate Wednesdays, like I told you, because mind, body, and soul, you just already know certain things, right?
Yeah.
And like you don't even have to know the date. You just feel it, like it's off. And I couldn't understand. And I told you about the Wednesdays, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's been getting easier, for me. And I'm actually living like I have a select few that I will actually go see, and I go out, because everyone is not for you,
Right.
right?
Right.
And you
That's
outgrow
right.
people. And, because it's like, oh Lord, here come a crying ass Candace again, or whiny this or whatever, But and then on that, I chose to know when to say no, because I kept feeling
Mm-hmm.
like I had to say yes,
Mm.
because I was doing
Very
this for
good.
Zaria, like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this,
Yeah.
And so that's when I'm starting to slowly come out the shell and live, and I'm very honest with the people that I work with in confidential,
Yes.
um,
You
but I'm
are.
very honest with them, but yeah, I signed up to get my master's, and I left Zaria's door open. I've decided to um pack up some of her stuff, and I'm gonna donate things because that's who she was, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. And so hopefully for all my friends that love me, I cook sometime. I cook, because I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised, of what's gonna
Yeah.
happen. And then I'm putting these like networking and which I was doing, but like when you and I talked earlier, about the Black man, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I want us to get on and have a separate conversation on that, because I
yeah,
really want to
you,
break that
yeah,
conversation open.
we
We're
will,
gonna we're gonna have a, we're gonna have a conversation on
yeah.
that
And
live,
then
because
even for me to share what happened that night, that's something I've never done.
yes,
And I share
and
that.
and listen, y'all, I pride myself. I pat myself on the back, honey, because
Go
I
ahead.
offer a safe space. Do y'all hear me? I pride myself on offering a safe, sacred space to my clients, because when you're dealing with these kind of issues, when you're dealing with mental, wellness and emotional wellness and grief and loss, that's a very tender area of a person's life. But it has to be dealt with, and at the same time, it has to be dealt with in a way that is healthy for you and everybody involved. So, there is a process of grief, and it's important to have your process, but it's important to have your
Hi,
process with the
Tommy.
intention. It's important to have your process with the intention to move through it, right? To move
Yes.
through it. So, Candy, you made a choice. You chose. We've been working together, but
Hmm.
again, you can't want for somebody what they don't want for themselves. You can lead the horse to the water, but you
Yeah.
can't make the horse drink, right? But this type of work, like I said, it's sacred to me. But if you're experiencing this type of situation, one of the things I want to encourage you to do is to be kind to yourself. It is
Hmm.
your process, and you don't have to explain it to anybody. Nobody needs to understand it. That's something that I went through with my sister. I went from what y'all see me as now to a very dark, dark place. I went to the dark
Hmm.
night of the soul. I became somebody who I wasn't. I was being judged for being this angry person. And I kind of was like, fudgesicle all of y'all. I went,
Yeah.
it was like, I had to have this process for myself, even with my mom. My mom wanted me to be there for her, and I couldn't. I couldn't give to her what I couldn't give to myself. I tried to give to her when I was able to do it, but there were times when I had to disappear. But again, grief is a process, and it's an individual process, and it's something that we're all going to experience at some point in our life. We're going to experience loss. And again, like Candy and I said at the beginning, grief is not just attached to death of a loved one. It could be death of a pet. It could be end of a relationship, divorce, separation. It could be, a change in your relationship with your child.
Yes.
You and your child used to be close, and now all of a sudden your child don't want to speak to you no more. You
I mean,
know,
because you can love your children, but nowhere does it say that you gotta like them all the time. That's just like you nowhere does it say I gotta like you all the time. Because when that adolescent hit, you be looking like, what? Who is this person? What you
well,
mean? I'm like, what? So no, it doesn't mean nowhere it says I gotta like you. No, because I might not
that's
like
so
you
funny.
today.
It's so
I
funny
mean,
you said
I
that.
love you, but I don't like you today.
It's
And
so funny you said that, because I hear my mom right here, right now. I told y'all this is the ninth anniversary of her passing, and she said,
yeah,
"Yeah, you remember that time when I told you I didn't like you, girl? There was a time my mother said to me, she said, 'I love you because you're my daughter, but I
mhm,
really don't like you.'" I'll never
right,
forget when she told me that.
yeah.
And you're right. Sometimes you don't like them.
I mean,
Sometimes you have to separate.
you don't like you love your family, you love them, but I don't
Exactly.
like all y'all,
Exactly. Right.
and what we have to be, this is the thing, like when we said, like, and right now, we're, I still have to put these stats out. I have to put these out, right? In the African American community, as of right
Yes,
now,
please. Mm-hmm.
the age of 10 to 24 with
Mm.
women are taking their lives.
Within
Nine
the African American community, you said,
within the
right? Want to be
African
clear.
American community,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 to 34 with the men. See, and
Wow.
normally the men will attempt, and women, I mean, the men would commit the act, commit suicide. They would
Mm-hmm.
complete the act, but the
Mm-hmm.
girls would attempt.
Okay.
But it's the other way around right now. So it's like 10. Let that sink in. 10, that is so young, you know?
And
And
9, you said with
and then
the males it's 9, right?
and 9, right? And then on a national average, it's going up from like 10 to like 64 right now. Because you have people, like you said, we're in a situation, right, where you have not been with, okay, let's face it, okay, so you've been at work all day, you haven't been around your kids, right? So now you're at home with your kids, right? All day that you haven't been with, right? Then maybe you and your partner. Oh, and I have to, before I finish that, I have to touch on this to the LGBTQ community. There are more twicely like to try, and they succeed. I have to touch on it because see, everybody deserves to be seen. Everybody deserves to be spoken to. Everyone has value. Everyone.
Absolutely.
But so I want to touch on it. And I'll be dismissive. I did not put that out there,
Thank you for
but I want to let them know.
that.
I want them to know that we see them.
Yes,
we value them, right? And we embrace them, and we are here for you.
Yeah. And Candy, I want to touch on the 9 and 10-year-olds. See, because this is one of the things that I have to work with my parent clients on all the time. Stop discounting the way your children feel. Stop telling children that they don't have no reason to be stressed out. Stop telling children that they cannot be depressed.
Yes, stop that. Okay, and I'm gonna put something. I don't have to, but this is something I'm choosing to do. Zaria had a birth control implant called Nexaplon. That's what was the fire in her arm. The fire, and that triggered her thought process in 30 minutes. Zaria did not have mental illness. She was not depressed. She was not any of those things. Right?
Right.
Now, however, this would have been like through her 7th year or 9th grade year. I probably would have said, okay, yeah, because she had been bullied, right? But I was being proactive instead of reactive. I put her into counseling immediately because I knew that something she couldn't tell me, and then stop discounting them, because when the kid is going through something and you tell them, oh, what you got to be sad about, or what you got to be depressed about, or what's going on, or then when somebody's being bullied, you tell them that they're just jealous. Guess what? They don't want to hear that. That's not what they want to hear.
Their feelings are real. Their feelings are real. Everybody's feelings are real. So if somebody is going through something, do not discount what people feel. I don't care if they're 2 or they're 102. Like you said, Candy, and that's one of the beautiful things I love about Zaria's Footsteps and your foundation, because, one of your big messages is, I see you, and that's one of my things that I tell my clients. I see you, I feel you, I hear you, and I'm with you, right? And people, they need to feel a certain way. Like Maya said, people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. And if somebody is telling you that they don't feel well, whatever that is, because you said something very key, and I want you to repeat it about this birth control, because see, disclaimer here, this is my personal opinion. Let me give a disclaimer. I am so anti medications, right? Because of the side effects. And people take a lot of these things, these supplements, these implants, all these stuff, and they have no idea what the side effects are. So I really want you to repeat what you said about what the struggle was that Zaria was having, because I believe in this platform, it's important to educate people. Right. So say it slowly and clearly so that they hear it.
It's called Nexaplon, and the company that makes it is called Oregon. Nexaplon.
And it's a birth control
implant that goes into the arm. So you have Nexaplon, Implamon, and Oregon, and they're a subsidiary under Merck. They make this. I did not put it in there because she was sexually active. I did it because she had her menstruals were really difficult, right? And so
that's why a lot of young girls take birth control, because of difficult menstrual periods, not because they're sexually active. Yep. Right.
But that's another stereotype and another label, right? Yeah. And so, and I really thought in my research on it, I really, really did. And so it was nothing. And then, so like I said, that she just was complaining about being tired and had a headache, and it was some little snappy stuff. But I'm like, she's been a teenager, you know. You pick up in the car and you ask her how she doing, fine, and then 30 minutes she starts talking. You be like, okay, well, that's just Zaria, you know. But she was working, taking college courses. I allowed her to date, you know. She had driver's privileges. She's volunteering, so there was nothing there, you know. It was Valentine's Day, something that we made very special since I was a little girl. And so I passed it on to her. So the company did offer me money, and I turned it down because they want me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. And I'm not doing that. And I have 103 depositions of people who actually had signs and symptoms. And the crazy part was when they were going to the doctors, telling them that they feel depressed or they're cutting themselves and stuff, no one made the connection to the birth control. So they're giving them more medication, you know, and stuff. And so yeah, and so she didn't have that. So I really want to put that out there. And I was waiting. I told you, so this is again an alignment and living, because I wanted to put it on a platform, and I just didn't know when and where and how I was going to.
So I want to ask people to share this live, because this is very important information. Because again, you know, everything is not cookie cutter. Like me, I'm not a cookie cutter coach. I don't work with you cookie cutter. Everything is not cookie cutter. Everything has a deeper meaning. Everything has a root. Everything has a foundation. And when you talk about healing, when you talk about overcoming, when you talk about moving through, breaking through, you have to be willing to attack the root of the matter. So please share this. You know, Zaria's Footsteps is an amazing organization. What Candy is doing there, you know, to bring awareness to suicide and also to remove the stigma. It's a conversation that needs to happen. We have to stop being uncomfortable talking about shit. You know, you got to face the shit in order to be able to erase the shit. We have to start having conversations that feel uncomfortable so that people can know better. Like Maya said, you can't do better unless you know better. But when you know better, it's your responsibility to do better, right? So Candy, thank you so much for having this conversation. I don't want Instagram to cut us off, because they do cut us off at a certain time, but I want you to tell everybody again how they can find you, how they can make a donation to Zaria's Footsteps, and how Zaria's Footsteps is helping people through those donations.
Okay. Zaria's Footsteps on Instagram, or you can go to zariasfootsteps.org, or you can go to Zaria's Footsteps on Facebook as well, and you can make a donation straight through there. And also you can go to Cash App and do Zaria's Footsteps. But on the 12th we're gonna light a candle for someone, either if you struggle with it and you put it out there, the directions will be on there. And then we're getting ready to do a virtual walk. But more importantly, we have to do this together, because this is not just one thing, right? All of this goes together, and we're going to shift out of this, because I see the greatness in us. We are amazing. And when you told me about my ancestors, did she came through. Yes, because you had no idea who my family was, right? And so I love working with you, and I promise you, to everybody who's come, there's big things coming. There are big things coming, and suicide is everybody's business. Let's take the stigma off of it, because, you know, just like we're minorities, so we stigmatized, right? We don't talk about the gay community. We don't talk about being pregnant. We don't talk about diabetes. Remember they used to say, "Oh, I got the sugars," or they never talked about cancer, never talked about teen pregnancy. You know, these are things that we were taught. No, we're gonna, and also people are masking, right? So when I ask you how you doing, and you say I'm okay, no, but you notice, and when I talk to you and anybody else who knows, I ask you, no, how are you doing today?
Right, and like, because even you saying that mental wellness and emotional wellness is everybody's business as well.
Everybody's.
And it's your responsibility, if you know that something is off, that there's a disconnect somewhere, that you need some help processing some stuff. It's your responsibility to reach out for it. We got to move past that place of expecting people to read our minds and expecting people to know what your situation is if you're not saying it because of pride or frustration or whatever.
Or
you have to trust someone.
And being judged. And then too, if you see someone, you know when your friend is not okay. You know when your sister's not okay. You know. right?
That's
So
right. That's
don't
right.
feel like it's a betrayal.
Yes.
That's saving a life.
Yes, absolutely. And Kandice is phenomenal. Like we didn't get into this part, but she's doing all of this, y'all. And she's living with cancer as well. I say living with it on the other, getting ready to get on the other side of it. We ain't dealing with that shit. But she's a phenomenal woman. So check out what she's doing at Zaria's Footsteps. And hey, if you're dealing with some mental and emotional stuff, if grief is debilitating you right now and damaging you, because grief is debilitating and it's damaging to the soul, and you have to learn how to process this stuff, because in every experience we have, there is a major life lesson for you that is connected to your purpose. And if you are a person
Yes.
of purpose, which we all are, but if you've identified that you are, it's your responsibility to harness what these experiences are coming to teach you, because it's all for the greater good of you and the people that you're also called to help. So if you need any help with that, you can reach out to me, www.danikacarruthers.com, and reach out to Candy. She is on Instagram, Zaria's Footsteps. She is on Facebook, Zaria's Footsteps, and her website is zariasfootsteps.org, right, Candy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And y'all reach out to Danica. Like I promise you, she's gonna push you. And I mean, and she bounced off of you, and she's authentic, and she has this. And I want to point this one thing you said about the intuition, because we all have it, right? We just don't know how to trust it, and we don't know how to go into it, because we all have it, right?
Right.
And
absolutely.
so we're gonna leave you on this note. What are you gonna do today, at this moment, to put a smile on someone? What choice are you gonna make today? Right?
Yes.
To start leaning into your purpose, right? And embracing it, so we can leave what? That legacy.
Yes. And make it a point to see somebody today.
Yes. See someone today. Let them know that you see them. I see you. I value you. And I love you.
I value you. And I love you. Thank you all so much for joining. And again, share this with anybody who you know. Thank you, Mikhail. Mikhail says y'all are so amazing. Share this with anybody who you know needs to hear this.
Mikhail is phenomenal. Mikhail she's the one, she got me recognized. I won 2 awards because of Mikhail. And yes. And Timmy is great. Like Timmy, I think she would benefit from you. She's been through some things. And Alicia, that's my friend. I call her Cupcake, because she bakes the best cupcakes in the world. And Danica likes sweets. She does.
But Danica has released sugar. So Miss Cupcake, don't come in my DMs with no cupcake pictures, Miss Cupcake, because I still got a weakness, child. I'm trying to process.
Girl, to say you can have one little one, because we're gonna do one little one. She's a little bite. Little bite.
Well, thank you all so much for joining. And Candy, thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation with me on this special day, the 9th anniversary passing of my mom. May she always be beauty and love and light in my life, as she always is. And as Zaria is in yours always.
Yes. I picture them together.
Yes.
I picture them together.
Well, we'll talk shortly. And bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Y'all be safe.